You're listening to the Planet 76 podcast, a podcast about 76ers basketball, and we're clear to take off. Let's go.
Welcome, everybody, to the Planet 76 podcast. I am your co-host, Michael from Trust and Love. I'm here with my other co-host, Troy. And as you guys know, this is our brand new podcast, 76ers Talk. You know the vibes. Today we're going to be talking about Game 3, and more specifically Game 4. Some things transpired last night. Yeah, some things transpired last night during the game and after the game. We want to get into that, and we'll break that down for you. But before we do, just make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast to keep up with the episodes. Also follow us on Instagram. We have Instagram for this, just Planet 76 Podcast. We are trying to get to 100 followers on there, so make sure you guys go check that out. And again, make sure you subscribe to the podcast, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcasts. There's a ton of platforms out there. I don't know them all offhand, but those are what I use. So if you use those too, make sure you check us out. But like I said, we're going to jump right into it. We're going to get into some Game 3 and Game 4 discussion. And obviously, spoiler alert, Game 5 in the next episode. But we're going to get right into it. So Troy, I'll let you take us off.
Yes, sir, no doubt. There's a lot to unpack, so I'm sure people are wanting to hear our thoughts on Game 4 and everything that's transpired really with the Sixers in the last 24 hours or so has been interesting, to say the least, coming off that Game 4 loss. So Game 3, Sixers really, really looked good, probably the best game of the series for them. Just a strong showing from the starters. We won't spend a ton of time there. But obviously a dominant game from our starting unit. Our three-point shooting was lights out, 17 of 33 for the game, compared to just 8 of 35 for the Wizards. We won that one 132 to 103. I thought it was interesting that Bertans got the start for the Wizards in that one. We kind of hinted at that actually on a previous episode, so we look kind of smart for thinking that. But Ben looked good early. There's not a whole lot to complain about in that one that transpired Game 3 on Saturday. Danny Green had 5 threes at half. Embiid had 25 at half. Had that monster dunk playing with the crowd. What was your big takeaway from Game 3?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I really can't point my finger to anything negative. It was just a really well-rounded game, especially for the starting five. They played insanely well. Really nothing to point out. Just a dominant game, an amazing game. Those are the type of games that you want to see from a team like the Sixers for the entirety of the playoffs. I don't care who they're playing. Mm-hmm. If you want to prove you're that team, you need to win by those kind of numbers every single game because you're dominating, and that's gonna send waves throughout the league. The Sixers are here; they want to win. So if you want to, show who you are, these are the type of games that you want to see from the Sixers. Yeah,
well said. Well said. One thing, I'm just looking at the box score right now, and I saw something I had not seen before. But the Wizards, so Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook kind of ran the show. Shocker. Beal had 26 shot attempts, 10 for 26, but
oh my gosh!
He was a plus minus of minus 29. Okay, minus 29 for Bradley Beal, and we won by 29.
Empty stats. Empty stats.
So pretty even there, and then, but the person with the highest plus minus on the team happened to be Raul Neto, who shot 1 for 12. Wow. Like, what?
Oh, my gosh.
You see that? 20 minutes, wow. 1 for 12, 0 for 6 from 3, but he had the highest plus minus.
Is that in the notes?
It's in the box score, just looking at it. He had the highest plus minus of plus 3. Like, what? That's kind of strange. Kind of strange. But, every Sixer starter had a plus minus of plus 27 or higher. Just a dominant game. Really, really happy about the way they looked in that one. Third quarter, they just did whatever they want. It seemed like they put up 37 in the third, 36 in the second, 36 in the first. Just dominant all the way around.
It was amazing.
Not too much, I guess, else to say about that one. But let's just get to some of the breaking news and what transpired yesterday and what we're going to focus on. So, Joel Embiid went down in the first quarter yesterday, unfortunately. Did not return in that one. Saw a ruling actually on the Trust the Love page. I think that's where I first saw it. Is that Joel Embiid is doubtful now for Game 5, which is taking place tomorrow on June 2nd. So how are you feeling? Like, he's doubtful, right knee soreness. I don't think it seems too severe, but ouch.
Yeah, I don't know the severity of it. What I do know is that it's still a winnable game. I don't see the need to panic. I don't think a lot of people are.
Yeah.
But in case there's any sort of looming feelings of panic or anything like that, there's no need. This it's still a winnable game without Embiid. Last night, last night was an exception because everyone just played poorly, and when this team is at their best, even without Embiid, it's a winnable game. So I'm not worried. I still have Sixers in 5. Those are my predictions before the playoffs started, and it looks like it's going to end up like that. So I'm not worried at all.
Yeah, I'm not worried. Certainly not worried for this series. And I'm not even worried that it seems to be like
happen.
Yeah, it does, but it doesn't seem like it's a big thing. I don't know if that's just my gut telling me that, but doesn't seem like a huge thing. He's had issues before where it's, okay, you miss a game, he'll come back, drop 35. That's the one I think positive, if there is one, about Joel Embiid's injuries in the past is, he's had ones where he's missed a lot of games, but he's also had little ones where, a little tweak here or there, he's out a game. You're like, okay, how's he going to respond coming back? And he's fine. So it's not something that's different for him. The process that this is going to be, obviously without him in Game 5, it's going to require some guys to step up. But it's certainly a winnable game. I, for one, don't want to see us go back to Washington for Game 6. Ideally we take care of business Game 5. Ideally Joel gets some rest. He can have, I don't even know what it would be, 4, 5, 6 days off between the start of the next series. So that's the ideal plan. We'll just see how the Sixers can execute.
I think it's probably going to be close enough to a week where. Yeah.
And then the Hawks are up 3-1 right now. They play tomorrow as well. So we'll see how that shapes out. I think Game 7 of that, like if it happened to go to 7, it would be like Tuesday. So he could definitely have a week off. So it's a painful game to talk about. Game 4.
Where do we even start? I guess it really all stems from the Embiid having to leave the game, I guess.
Yeah. So let's
'cause that's where all the issues came from, really.
It is. Yeah, he left in the first, and then the other two members of our quote unquote big three, if you will, did not particularly play well.
They both may as well have left with Embiid, honestly.
Yeah. Right. So Ben Simmons gets in foul trouble early and often, stayed in foul trouble, came back into the fourth quarter, fouled immediately for his 5th.
Yeah.
So he was out a lot of that game. How many minutes did he play? He only played 25 minutes. And then Tobias Harris shot 8 for 24, 33%.
Brutal.
To me, the worst part of that game, and go figure, it was the third quarter. But that was like hard to watch, third quarter.
Yeah, that was painful.
That was painful. We couldn't play defense, couldn't stop the ball.
No.
Offense looked horrendous.
Shots.
There was one point, and I was like, I gotta talk about that tomorrow. There was one point where Matisse was the focal point of our offense for 2 or 3 possessions in a row. Going to him kind of to drive or to shoot a 3. He threw a wild pass / shot out of bounds intended for Dwight Howard. It was just weird. And I'm like, what are we doing? We were down 6, 7, 8 at that point. And I'm just like, okay, let's run the offense.
What are we doing?
That'll work.
Yeah.
It was a bench heavy game. A lot of our bench players got big minutes. Maxey got
Especially
22.
Maxey,
George
yeah.
Hill got 22. Your boy
George
Mike
Hill had
Scott.
22, really?
Mike Scott got
No, I don't
17.
want to talk about Mike Scott.
Let's talk
I
about
don't
Mike
care.
Scott. Mike Scott had a
I don't care
positive
that he
plus
got
minus.
17, man. I don't care. We
He was
lost.
bad.
It doesn't matter.
He was bad.
Yeah. I mean,
He was
I'll take 17 from Mike
What
Scott,
else?
but like, I don't
We're
like
gonna-
talking about Mike Scott unless it's necessary.
We're going to get to the Ben Simmons and the intentional fouling here in a moment to talk about that. But anything just, in general, over these last couple games, we've seen Maxey enter the game over Milton. Milton's got action. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think we talked about it in the last episode about the whole Maxey Milton thing. To be honest, and I think I said something similar to this in the last episode. I'm fine. Sorry. I'm fine with Maxey getting minutes over Shake, when it's necessary, situational. And in this situation, it worked out perfectly because Maxey gives you 20 off the bench, which is amazing. So if that's what Doc feels that is necessary, then that's fine, I mean, like, I'm not going to petition for Shake to get minutes when he may or may not deserve it because he's playing poorly. Yeah. If Maxey is in over Shake and Maxey plays well, I can do nothing but root for him because it's contributing to winning, and he's giving us nice production off the bench. So I really can't complain. But yeah, I mean, you pretty much summed it up really nicely. Game 3 was great. Game 4 was not great at all. Well, I mean, I'm sure there were nice points. Obviously, Maxey was one of them, but.
Yeah, he looked good, didn't he? I mean, he looked good.
He looked really good. He hit that like 30-foot 3-pointer. I was like, what? I was like, Maxey, what is this? That was crazy.
Yeah. And that sequence, I forget what it was. He had a couple bright spots early in the fourth. A couple steals off.
He had that dunk. He had that fast break dunk, which was nice.
Yep, off his own steal.
Nice, yeah.
And then he hit a 3 or something down the other end, and then the very next possession, Russ tried to drive at him, and he knocked it out of his hands off his knee.
Yeah, oh yeah, I remember that. Yep, I remember that.
He looked good, man, and he was fired up. I mean, I just think he's a gamer, man.
He's that energy guy, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I've never been a big Maxey guy. Even when we drafted him, I was like, oh, that's cool. But but now I'm like, hey, I mean, this kid's pretty good. He brings the energy all off the bench, and he backs it up. Everyone's like, oh, Mike Scott brings the energy and the hustle. But Mike Scott doesn't back it up like Maxey.
Mike Scott Hive.
No. Mike Scott doesn't back it up with his play like Maxey does.
Did you like him a few like the
year
we played
when he was
Brooklyn
actually
and
producing
Toronto?
off the bench? Yes, when he was a productive bench player, he was fine. I had no issues with him. When he started playing extremely poorly 90% of the time, that's when I started having issues because he was getting minutes over players who probably deserve minutes over him. And if he's not giving you anything off the bench, why is he getting minutes?
Yeah. No, I'm with you 100%. I used to be everyone was. He was a very, very popular
He was
guy
great.
on the
He used to be amazing. Not amazing, but he used to be very good off the bench.
Amazing for Mike Scott, no doubt. You know who else kind of showed out? Like, I mean, there's a few bright spots. We'll get to some more negatives in a second, but Furkan had a pretty nice sequence.
I was just going to say Furkan as soon as you said it.
Right? I mean, he looked good.
Yeah.
He had a nice little stretch. He had a couple buckets. He had one, like, rebound, and then I think he put it up for an and one in the fourth, right? Like, he put it back.
He had a couple nice sequences. Like, obviously scoring, but good. He also had some nice sequences. I think, like you said, that rebound, too.
Mm-hmm. He looked good. He showed out. George Hill looks good.
If we make a high for Furkan, I'll support that.
No doubt. Yeah, I think George Hill and Maxey looked pretty good. Kind of kept us in the game because again, if you're gonna, you tell me this. So I tell you, Joel Embiid gets hurt in the first quarter. I tell you, Tobias Harris shoots 8 for 24. I tell you, Ben Simmons plays 25 minutes, is in foul trouble the entire time, goes 5 for 12 from the free throw line, or 5 for 11. How many do you think we lose by? If those are all the details that you know.
Yeah. I mean, with what I know now, I would look back and be like, well, no, if I didn't know what I know now, basically is what you're saying. Like, I mean, honestly, I'd say they at least lose by 10.
Yeah.
Maybe like it would be double digits. I think it would be double digits. But wasn't it only like 6 or 7 they lost by?
Yeah, 122 to 114. So we lost by 8.
8.
Again, a 13-point margin in the third, going to the fourth, down 12. Not ideal. They got back in it, and again, it was even closer. I mean, this is a tie ball game with 2-something to go, so it was closer than even the score shows. We were in it, considering those 3 performances from our main players. So I guess that's kind of a bright spot, if you will. But let's talk about the end of the game. So Ben Simmons, I wrote down the entire stretch here just so we can walk through it. So it's tied at 108, 2:47 to go. It's tied. We hadn't been tied. We hadn't had the lead since the early part of the third quarter. And what does Scott Brooks decide to do? He decides to foul Ben Simmons intentionally, sending him to the line. He makes 1 of 2, giving the Sixers a lead. Giving us a lead with 2.5 to go. And then so on and so forth. There's a few more sequences. Wizards get a bucket. Ben goes to the line, makes 1 of 2. Wizards get a bucket. Ben goes to the line, makes 1 of 2. We were basically trading 2 for 1, or 1 for 2, if you will. And post-game, Doc Rivers just so happened to come to his defense a little bit. So listen to this take that Doc Rivers had.
Analytically, if you split all those free throws offensively, you'll take a point per possession, So he did that. I had no issues with it. Obviously, we loved him to make them both. But I didn't think that changed the game at all for us. So I was fine with it. If he had to miss both, then that's something. But overall, I was fine with it. Obviously, that's what they're going to do. That's what they should do. And we're fine with that.
All right, so that's Doc Rivers' take on Ben Simmons. He comes to his defense, got a little angry in that clip, as you can see, and he defended him. And he mentioned the analytics of basketball in that, and the analytics don't lie. We'll talk about so those numbers. Analytics, here, let me give you some analytics then, since you love them so much. So generally speaking, free throws are very efficient. I did not do this research. I saw it from somebody who posted it, like everybody's posting it immediately after Ben Simmons had these woes at the free throw line. So here it is. The Sixers generate 1.01 points per possession this season. Every time they possess the ball, they average 1.01 points. Okay, Ben Simmons, when he is fouled, just based on his free throw percentage this season, he averages 1.2 points per possession when he goes to the free throw line, hence the 55-56 percentage. So if Ben, like he did last night at least, if Ben splits a pair each time at the line, then that's 1 point per possession, which is right on average.
But it's not a full possession, though.
So, I'm just saying. So that's kind of what Doc's take was.
It's not a 24-second shot clock full worth of possession. That's the thing.
What do you mean? Well, so that's true, but the points per possession takes every single time the Sixers have the ball. So, and free throw attempts are included in that. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad, and we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Regardless, Ben Simmons needs to improve from the line. But just interesting numbers there. Analytically, quote unquote, it's not always a good thing to foul. Like the Wizards chose.
Oh, analytically, okay. In that respect, okay.
And when they did, again, Ben Simmons split every single time. I think he made the first, missed the second every single time, or vice versa. I forget. Down the stretch, he went 4 for 8 during those moments. Again, tie ball game. what didn't help and what made Scott Brooks probably look a little smarter is that the Wizards really didn't miss down the stretch.
Mm-hmm.
So, if Ben goes to the line, makes one, and the Wizards miss, if Ben goes to the line, makes one, Wizards miss again.
It's not as pronounced.
Might be a different story today. So that is what we know. Ben Simmons post-game, don't have that clip for you, but here he said, just got to knock those down, end quote.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
that was kind of it.
You need to make
kind
the free throws, man. Yeah.
So what's your take on this? Are you worried future, independent, like just yesterday, what's your take? And then long-term on intentionally fouling Ben Simmons late fourth quarter?
Well, I'm not going to sit here and say it's not a good strategy. Like I said, I don't really care about analytics. Ben Simmons is not a good free throw shooter. Everyone knows that. It's smart to foul him. It's a smart play. I don't care about analytics again. It's a smart play. He clearly is not good at free throws. It's a good idea. Now, Ben Simmons needs to. I don't think it's an issue of Ben needing to work on them. I think he just needs to not choke at the free throw line, because I'm fully aware. I think he can make free throws. He can shoot the ball. He just doesn't do it. We know he can shoot it. He just doesn't. I think he just sucks at free throws. I don't think he needs to work on them. I think it's just a mental thing with him, like most things are with him, especially in terms of his offensive game. And yes, in a situation like that, in most situations, you need to make free throws. And I mean, obviously every player misses free throws, but with Ben, it's just glaring, because when you take 12 free throws, you only make 5 of them in one game. Especially with how close the game was. I mean, it's kind of important that you make free throws, especially if you don't really do anything else in terms of scoring. Make your free throws, man. I mean, they're free. They're literally free points at the line for your team. I mean, I don't know. I don't. You see most NBA big men, centers, and things like that not be able to make free throws. Pretty sure Dwight Howard's a better free throw shooter than Ben this season. Probably wrong, but I'm probably not that off.
About the same.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I didn't even look at these
He's
stats,
better
and
in
I
the
know
postseason.
that. Right. Most big men in the NBA. Now, when I say big men, I mean like the rebounding kind of alley-oop catching type. Drummond, DeAndre Jordan, all those guys. They're horrible at free throw shooting. Now, if you're a guard and if you're Ben Simmons, you want to be able to separate yourself at least somewhat offensively from big men who don't shoot at all. So that's my take. And also, I mean, we know Ben has. I mean, I just said it. We know Ben has to work on his free throws. It's really easy to still be able to root for Ben Simmons and also criticize him, and not when he has bad moments, not demand that he get traded or that he gets cut or. Somebody left a comment on my post
Sounds
saying
like
he
you're
should get a
mentioning
salary cut. Yeah, somebody in my comment said he should get a salary cut. What kind of comment is that,
dude?
It's totally acceptable to criticize him, but to demand that he gets traded after every single bad moment is just stupid, and it's just ridiculous. You don't have to pick sides. You can have multiple viewpoints. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to knock him down. And it was so classic post-game Ben Simmons last night.
He shrugs it off. Oh, man, I don't need to do that.
Shrugging it off, kind of having this attitude of I know. Kind of having this attitude where, and I'm not sitting here, and I don't think you are either, sitting here saying Ben Simmons blew the game, because again, he makes all those free throws. Right. We might have still lost because the Wizards.
But he was definitely a huge reason as to why they lost. That's just plain and simple.
He was.
Yeah.
He was. But he. I don't know. I mean, it's the same thing with Ben for years now. Ben, work on your free throws. He's been told that for 4 or 5 years, and here we are.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, 1 seed, Philadelphia 76ers. And we're talking about Ben Simmons missing free throws in the playoffs. Spotlighting that. Because that's been the talk ever. It's not just the Planet 76 podcast.
It always will be, man.
they're talking about that on a lot of radio networks right now. ESPN's talking about that. They're saying, what should they do? Should Doc Rivers have taken his side? Should Doc Rivers bench him? Should Doc Rivers do this? Like, there's a lot of news that's talking about this. You know, those are the two big stories coming out of this game: is Ben Simmons and his free throw woes, and Joel Embiid and his injury. What's going to happen?
And also, people should
what do you
people
think,
should
real
also
quick?
talk more about Tobias Harris. He played horribly too.
Yeah, absolutely. If Tobias wants to live up to that contract, then he can live up to taking some criticism too. So what's your take real quick on Doc Rivers, again, coming to his defense?
I mean, I guess it's good on the coach to have your players back in a sense. I mean, I guess it wouldn't hurt for Doc to maybe like nudge Ben Simmons a little bit, even though I don't think anyone is going to have any impact on what Ben does, because ultimately he's going to decide what he does or doesn't do. But I mean, I feel like Doc could at least, Ben, hey, I wish Ben made those free throws. He didn't have to like swerve and pull the analytical weird stuff that he did.
Yeah.
And I mean, people will always
part
find a
of
way
his
to talk
comment
about Simmons, like some people will just like,
and he said that.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that I do agree with, because some people literally just, as soon as he has a bad moment, people literally just like pounce. People are waiting for Ben to have a bad moment, and they're like, they got their notes ready, they got their like everything they want to say. Oh, Ben Simmons sucks. Oh, all this stuff.
Yeah. No, I agree with Doc too there. Like he said, when are you going to stop with this Ben Simmons narrative?
Mm-hmm.
When are you going to stop with this Ben Simmons narrative? When are you going to kept saying that. And, and I'm 100% with Doc there, 100% even with backing him up. Because, something that he said, even in what, the clip that we just listened to, is that, if he goes 0 for 2 up there, then that's probably not good. Going 1 for 2, 1 for 2, 1 for 2. Yeah, we'll take it. I don't know about that, but hey, that's kind of the story. Something else, I'm going to get your take, and then we're going to listen to Doc Rivers' take. Something else, someone asked Doc post-game, this really got him fired up. They're like, do you consider taking Ben out at the end of the game? Mm-hmm. What do you think? Not thinking future, not think, because we don't know the situation that could happen next week.
You mean you mean last night?
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the only story we know. That's the only, for all we know, next week Ben Simmons going to have 40 points and 0 for 10 from the line.
Right.
But talking about last night and his 5 fouls in the fourth quarter, what do you do? Do you take him out? Do you leave him in?
Well, I think maybe you leave him out for a little while longer to maybe try and avoid a couple of those fouls. Maybe try and avoid the 4th and 5th foul that he got, because and the refs were obviously hunting Simmons because they knew he was in foul trouble, and the Wizards were, the refs were favoring the Wizards, and the Wizards were making things a little bit more dramatic than they needed to be in terms of fouling and trying to foul bait and all that stuff. So they were obviously hunting Simmons, but I don't know. I don't. You can't take him out for too long of a stretch, because number one, I mean, he's obviously our best ball handler. He's our best defender without Embiid, arguably with Embiid, whatever. But I don't know. I don't think you take him out. Obviously, the free throws are an issue, but you can't take out your second or third best player because he can't make free throws. You need him in the game for other things. Like they also didn't know that they were gonna just pull a hack-a-shack on Ben for half the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So I think at least maybe try and keep him out a couple more minutes just to avoid some of those very, very tic-tacky fouls.
Yeah. Well, listen to this take from Doc Rivers post-game.
Doc, is there anything that you can do coaching-wise? Does the thought cross your head at all to take him out of the game there?
No.
Why not?
You want me to take Ben Simmons off the floor?
No, I mean, I got to ask the question.
I will pass on that one. He's pretty good, so I'll pass on that suggestion.
All right, so I'm just going to read through that sequence real quick.
Okay.
From last night, just to give us all a recap, a refresh on what went down. So tied at 108, 2:47 to go. Ben Simmons to the line intentionally, makes 1 of 2. Bradley Beal gets a bucket. Sixers are down 1. Simmons fouled again, makes 1 of 2. Tie game. Wizards bucket. Very next possession, what do? They foul Ben Simmons. He makes 1 of 2. We're down 1. So we go from being up 1, Wizards score, tie game, to now down 1 after Simmons makes 1 of 2. And that spanned just 40 seconds, those possessions that I just read. So Ben Simmons first got intentionally fouled at the 2:47 mark, then he got fouled intentionally for the third time at the 2:07 mark, and the Sixers were down, and they did not ever regain the lead. A couple big buckets from the Wizards. Simmons went to the line. Again, not intentionally, but kind of intentionally after he got the ball and tried to dunk. Russ kind of got on him. They almost called a flagrant. They did not.
Should have been a flagrant. I'm just going to say it.
I thought so. I thought it was going to be. So minute 8 to go, down 4. That's when that happened. Ben makes 1 of 2. We're down 3. Either the next possession or the one after, Rui Hachimura hit the dagger, hit a 3 to put them up 6. Tobias came down, missed a 3, and then that was pretty much it. And that was the ball game. So that's a major storyline, like we said, with Ben Simmons. And we're going to see how that's going to play out the rest of the way. I don't see why teams won't take up that strategy.
The Wizards have seemed to have been one of the only teams to do it, which is odd because Mark Zumoff mentioned it. I think
that was his rookie year they did, right?
Yeah. Mark Zumoff mentioned it. Or maybe it was Allah, I'm not sure. But one of them mentioned that the Wizards were actually the team that had Ben shoot like 25 free throws in one game or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was either his rookie or second year.
Like I remember watching that game. I was like, oh my God, Ben Simmons. I think Ben Simmons had 32 in that game because he actually made his free throws. I was like, oh my God, Ben Simmons is about to have like 30 points right now.
Yeah, it might have been a career high at the time, actually. Yeah, I know the Wizards have done it. And again, they came out with a W last night. So props to them. Weird game.
Definitely.
Sixers plane. Do you hear about the issues with the plane?
I did. Why did they take a plane to Washington? Usually you take a bus or like a... I don't know what else you can take.
I don't think from that far. I don't know how far the distance is. But they did take a bus.
Yeah.
Got back at 6 a.m. Rough night. Weird night.
Yeah. Very odd. 12 hours for the Sixers.
Very weird. Very odd. But we're pushing on to Game 5. So, Embiid doubtful. We're going to act like he ain't going to play because he ain't going to play. What do we got to do to close it out? Let's just go there and then we'll wrap it up.
Well, bottom line. This is it. This is what they have to do to win the game. Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris need to play like second and third options on a championship team. That's it. And the bench can play great. You know, obviously the bench contributing tomorrow night will be very helpful and very nice. Maxiell doesn't have to score 20 again. Hill doesn't have to score 20 again, but we need some more from other pieces. Maybe some more from Furkan, maybe some more from if Shake gets minutes, you know. So maybe some more from Matisse. I know Matisse had a pretty okay night offensively. You know, a little more from the bench, a little more overall output from the bench, and then Simmons and Harris need to play like they're actual NBA stars, which they are, and they need to play like it because, like I said earlier in the episode, it's still a very winnable game because Simmons and Harris are still very good, and then obviously Green and Curry are going to do their thing like they have been doing for the past couple weeks, and that's mostly it. You know, the Wizards again, they're not a good team. I've said it before. I don't care that they won a game. They were acting like they won Game 7 of the NBA Finals. They're not a good team. I'm sorry. They're not a good team. Russ and Beal carry a ton of weight on the offensive end, and there really isn't much else. Now that Bertans is out especially, I don't see it. It's just... And I think I said it last episode, too. It's more of what the Sixers have to do more than what the Wizards have to do because the series is in the Sixers' hands, literally on a silver platter. They need to just take it and go. Yeah,
I think it's going to be important to finish it on Wednesday night in Game 5. I think we need to do it. I don't want to go back to Washington.
It can't go to 6.
I don't want to hear chatter about...
No.
You know, and I don't want Embiid to come back prematurely if he's not ready.
Right.
You know, that was even what I was thinking last night. Like, why don't we just win this and end this for him?
Exactly. So Embiid can have a nice week, to not have to worry about it. We can close the series out. And that's what I thought, too. I thought, come on, this team is still a good team without Embiid. I mean, the Wizards are the 8th seed. Just close it out. And here we are.
So we'll see. I mean, I'm very hopeful we'll take care of business. I'm hopeful that what you said plays out. I'm hopeful that Tobias responds.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that Ben responds.
I think Tobias will. I think he's had a really nice series so far. Obviously, he had the horrible game last night. Absolutely horrible from Tobias.
Yeah.
I think he'll bounce back. I don't think this game was a representative of who he is as a player. Obviously, we've seen it all season, and we've seen it in the playoffs so far. Outside of this one game, I think he'll be good.
Yeah. Yep. Couldn't have said it better myself. Did you see? Did you see Russell Westbrook's stat line yesterday?
I did actually. I know he shot very poorly from the field.
This man went 3 for 19.
He did go 3 for 19. See, I thought I heard that somewhere. I just wasn't sure.
A monster triple-double.
Yeah.
He finished with 19 because he had 13 free throws. 19, 21 boards, 14 assists.
21 boards. Oh, my gosh.
21 boards, 14 assists. I mean, that is like the most Russell Westbrook stat line I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The 3 for
and
19
he passed
included.
Jason Kidd for third, I think, on the all-time playoff triple-doubles list, which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. So he's something else, man. So we'll see how things are going to shape out tomorrow. But here's what we're thinking, just so you guys know. Just so you guys know what to expect from us. Yes. So if all things go according to plan, Sixers are going to finish the job in Game 5. And then you can expect another episode from us kind of previewing Round 2 action. So that'll be one when we know our Round 2 opponent. And obviously after that and before the Round 2 begins. Yes. So that'll be this weekend or something in there. Again, if all things go according to plan, if this series, God forbid, somehow goes 7 games, then who knows what we'll do. We might have like a Game 7 preview or something. But Michael, that's not going to happen. So everything's going to go according to plan. Game 5, we're going to be solid. And we'll get back with a Round 2 preview between the Sixers and either the Atlanta Hawks or the New York Knicks. Sounds solid? How we thinking about that?
Sounds great. Good? Sounds fantastic. Yep.
All right. So that'll be the next one. Be sure to look there. This is Planet 76, podcast about 76ers basketball. You should tell a friend about it.
Definitely tell a friend.
If you like the Sixers, someone likes the Sixers, your friends, your family, you should put them on. All right, so put them on, subscribe, leave a rating, do whatever you can, and we appreciate that.
Yes, definitely.
All right, next time. Peace. You just listened to an episode of the Planet 76 podcast. Hey, we appreciate you joining us for this episode. Whatever platform you're on, why don't you hit that subscribe button for us, and we'll see you next time.